On that land filled with feral snapping and rampaging behemoths, the laws of survival were often so cold they carried not a shred of warmth. While those monsters whose sizes blotted out the sky crushed one another in endless greed, a small and delicate life managed to live in a completely different manner. Tonight, beside the softly flickering hearth, let us step into its true life along with this story that requires no effort to remember. This dinosaur was Bellusaurus, a short-necked sauropod that lived during the Middle-Late Jurassic, exceptionally small in body and delicate in appearance. In a sauropod family where size was truth, the 5-meter-long frame of Bellusaurus made it seem like a fragile, elegant anomaly. They had no towering necks to overlook the world, nor tail clubs to shatter everything. In the brutal ecological chain, they seemed ready to be swallowed by storms at any moment. Yet Bellusaurus possessed the most miraculous sanctuary on Earth, the unreserved, total trust and group bond they shared with one another. Whenever the freezing dark descended upon the wilderness, they would consciously huddle toward the center, pressing their warm bodies tightly together without an ounce of defense. Their delicate, short necks would intertwine gently in the night, delivering their most vulnerable throats and breathing to their most trusted companions. This simple, secure sense of snuggling among social animals was like an intangible yet intensely hot spring, capable of instantly filling all the loneliness between heaven and earth. On the ancient continent 200 million years ago, tectonic shifts triggered frequent climatic anomalies, and the once warm, humid monsoons began to carry a bone-chilling cold. The woodlands where Bellusaurus nested frequently saw cold, heavy frost mists descend at night. For these creatures lacking homeothermic feathers, this was a harsh rift of life. During this period, organisms operating alone endured immense risks. Not only did they have to watch for predators lurking in the shadows, but they also had to combat the ruthless loss of body heat. At that time, some solitary small predators still survived in the forest. They were agile and lethal by day, but by midnight, they would huddle shivering in cold rock piles out of loneliness and frost. Yet Bellusaurus never fell into such despair. Their perception of their companion's body heat transcended all fear of terrestrial dangers. Within this herd, there was a particular Bellusaurus that was even smaller than its peers, possessing an exceptionally stoic demeanor. We might as well call it Xiao Qiao in our story. Xiao Qiao's temperament within the herd was somewhat introverted. Its movements were always gentler than those of other companions, its face carrying a clean, restrained expression. On a sudden freezing night, a piercing gale blew away the last traces of warmth on the plain, the rampaging wind making low wails through the treetops. Being young and physically weak, Xiao Qiao's limbs shook uncontrollably on the frozen mud, its body heat rapidly draining through its rough skin, bringing it to the brink of the most unsettling end. Just when it thought it was about to be swallowed by this icy darkness, several elder Bellusaurus silently shifted their steady strides, slowly closing in on it from all sides. Those elder Bellusaurus used their thick, warm frames to solidly block the knife-like, piercingly cold gales blowing from Xiao Qiao's flank. They uttered no irritable cries, they simply lowered their heads submissively in the dark, using their moist breaths to gently brush over Xiao Qiao's somewhat rigid forehead. In that moment, the protective drive and dynamic within the group were displayed flawlessly. This was no condescending charity, but a deep-seated instinct for mutual reliance rooted in their genes. The nerves of Xiao Qiao, which had been taut with terror, relaxed completely the instant it was enveloped by the volcano-hot body temperature of its companions. It submissively extended its limbs, pressing its small body tightly against the broad ribcages of its companions, listening to that booming, steady heartbeat. Subsequently, an even more tender scene unfolded quietly in the silent frost. The companions began to move their necks interchangeably. One after another, short necks of modest length traced a soothing curve under the dim moonlight, intertwining as if weaving an organic mesh composed of life in the air. Xiao Qiao also gently rested its delicate neck on the shoulder and back of the companion beside it, its skin absorbing the deep warmth rising from beneath the companion's rough osteoderms. The tension within this dynamic reached a perfect equilibrium during this bitter night. No fighting, no pushing away, only absolute acceptance and cradling. The circumstances of the era ruthlessly squeezed their living space, yet within the gaps of pressing against one another, they found their most secure psychological haven. As the first ray of dawn broke through the heavy white frost, Xiao Qiao and its companions opened their clear eyes slowly amid the deep warmth. The brutal catastrophe of last night, which was enough to freeze countless solitary lives to death, ultimately left nothing but a thin layer of dew on their thick backs, which was quickly melted away by their body heat. The Bellusaurus stood up under the caress of the sun, regaining their past vivacity, stepping with light paces through the morning mist to forage for tender leaves covered in sweet nectar. Xiao Qiao's life underwent a fundamental transformation from this point forward. It no longer feared the dark night, but instead looked forward to each sundown with a cozy anticipation. As the years rolled by, Xiao Qiao gradually grew up under the sanctuary of the group. Its face maintained that signature delicacy, while its gaze grew increasingly serene and resolute. Within the herd, it began to play the role of those elders from its youth, using its own expanding back to shield the newly born baby Bellusaurus from wind and rain. They lived beneath the vast shadows of Yanquinosaurus and Monolophosaurus. Those powerful predators rampaged through the jungle, yet they could never thoroughly shatter the Bellusaurus herd. Because whenever crisis struck, the Bellusaurus never scattered in flight. They would rapidly form the tightest defensive ring, sheltering young lives in the most core, secure position. This choice of mutual sacrifice was their ultimate wisdom, yielding a partial loss to secure the life of the entire group, a concept thoroughly misunderstood by many solitary beasts. In the eyes of predators who knew only slaughter, these small fellows were merely lambs to the butchered, completely unaware of the indestructible group power contained within their bodies. On a Jurassic midnight filled with a canopy of stars yet exceptionally still, the wind over the wilderness had completely died down, and the air was laced with the faint scent of ferns. Having reached adulthood, Xiao Qiao and its partners returned once more to their most familiar low-lying valley to greet the conclusion of the day. The night sky was like a vast blanket woven from indigo velvet, gently draped over their heads, thoroughly barring all noise and heat out. The Bellusaurus stepped with light, measured paces, as regular and constant as a pendulum, huddling toward the valley center with a tacit understanding, their limbs making rustling sounds against the sand. Xiao Qiao stood securely at a certain spot on the outermost ring, its body radiating a healthy, hot temperature, welcoming the approach of several young companions by its side. Their massive yet compact bodies pressed tightly together without a single gap, the texture of their skin refracting a low saturation, ancient gray-brown sheen under the faint moonlight. Xiao Qiao lowered its head slowly, gently extending its delicate short neck to intertwine horizontally and vertically with the necks of two partners beside it. That simple, secure sense of snuggling flowed quietly beneath the silent night sky, like a wordless lullaby carrying an ultimate magic that made all things let go. Each breath became immensely long and light. They closed their eyes, letting their body temperatures fuse in the air, turning into a continuous current of deep warmth. On this night favored by fate and time, they were no longer insignificant underdogs of the dinosaur era, but wise beings possessing the most luxurious, peaceful dreamland in the world. Amid the gentle intertwining of short necks and the resonance of one another's heartbeats, the Bellusaurus fell completely into that deep ancient dreamland free of slaughter and filled only with mutual reliance. Their small remains turned into cold fossils after hundreds of millions of years, yet the warmth of their sleeping embrace in the dark managed to pierce through the vast torrent of time. What Bellusaurus truly left to this world was not a power capable of deterring all things, but that sliver of simple, secure protective light that never extinguished within the cold creases of life. When we feel our inner selves eroded by a massive sense of loneliness during the long night, or feel our bodies freezing and unable to sleep due to life's pressure, we might as well gently sketch the image of Bellusaurus in our minds. Go look at that cozy scene beneath the Jurassic starry sky, where they huddle together with short necks intertwined. Try to relax your tense shoulders just like those clever Bellusaurus, drop all your psychological defenses, and yield your body entirely to the warm bed beneath you. Imagine that a sincere warmth coming from your companions and from nature is gently enveloping you, smoothing away all the creases and traumas deep within your soul. No matter how immense the external cataclysms are, they cannot disturb your inner sheltered harbor. No matter how long the night is, it will ultimately dissolve into the sweetest dream within the deep warmth of huddling together. The night is very deep now, the dew in the valley has soaked the ancient soil, and all things have returned to a heavy sleep amidst ultimate tranquility. May you, within the gentle, serene breathing of Bellusaurus and accompanied by the security of group reliance, peacefully enter a deep dreamland filled only with healing and devoid of turmoil.